are live. Day 3. Woo, woo. Day 3. We are live. We are live. And I'm excited to be live. I don't know what's going on with my shirt. And on break, I probably will be changing it. Listen, I don't know if it's too tight or I've gotten and gained too much weight. My weight is coming down. Or I just love this green shirt. I've had it for many years, and I don't know why it want to come around my neck like that. Maybe it's because I got a little extra. Ooh, look at that. When I lose that. That's it. Welcome in. I thought I would just, let you know I'm human, and this is not a figment of your imagination, that you are here with me, and that my team asked me, is the shirt backwards? That may be the reason the shirt is backwards. Woo! So you know what we're going to do? I'm going to come off screen for just 2 seconds, and I'm going to turn this shirt the right direction. That's what dreams are supposed to do, put us in the right direction. So I'm going to put this shirt in the right direction. That's what's going on. So hold tight, girl greatness, and we're going to put some music on the screen, and I'll be right. Look at that. Woo! Listen, you got to have some fun. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Dina Corbin, Haja Dina Corbin, who's here, ready to roll. She thought it was on backwards. Well, I wish someone had told me it was on backwards. Yeah, it was on backwards. Yes. So how about that? I'm going to just segue into that for just a moment. Welcome to the official day 3 of the Dream into Action Summit. We're having an incredible time over here. It is a lot of powerful information driving forward. It is an incredible leap for so many women who are already, getting it. We're getting inbox messages, on social media. We're getting texts, and mostly we're getting smiles. That's what's important. We're getting smiles. And everyone is feeling energized. And I'm getting that vibe. I'm getting that download within my body, as well as getting that from the comments that are being shared. So for all of us who are in this moment, we're in a moment of dreams. The tenacity it takes to dream. The tenacity it takes to dream. And then when you use tenacity, when you tap tenacity, you will also find yourself sometime in a backward moment, right? You will find yourself in a backward moment, like my shirt was backwards, but for whatever reason, I saw it forward. I saw it differently. And so I went for it. And that's the way tenacity works. And that's the way dreams work. You see it and you go for it. Now, when it starts to get uncomfortable and it doesn't feel right, and you then say, listen, is this actually happening? Am I really experiencing this? And then you get an answer, right? Just as a side note. Let's talk about tenacity very quickly. Who knows about the word tenacity? What is it that you know about tenacity? Because what we're experiencing right now, and I knew this would happen, that there would be women who says, I didn't realize how much I needed this. I mean, I really thought I knew what dreams were. I really thought I understood dreams. Dreaming is a whole thing. Like there's so much research around the idea of dreams. So I don't think that there is an ending to this conversation. Rather, I think it is a beginning. So how many of us do believe that we understand dreams a little bit better? Just from the last 2 nights and 2 sessions midday. And if that is a yes, then I'm in that same mode with you. When we talk about dreams and tenacity go together. I always understood that I had this tenacity, the audacity, right? But tenacity is determined. You're determined to do something. I'm not sure about you and your political affiliation. I'm not sure about, what you subscribe to. But what I can tell you is I subscribe to democracy. And that's bigger than any candidate. And that's bigger than any one that we could choose across the world globally to represent our interests in the political, governmental realm, whether you're in Africa, Canada, or you're in the UK, and definitely here in the USA. I grew up in a democracy. It was the democracy that gave me the audacity to dream. It was democracy that gave me the tenacity because I had freedom. So you can already guess who I'm voting for, who my family voted for. But that message, right? I wish I could be one of her surrogates on the stage, and I would bring a message of democracy, right? The audacity to dream, to determine with tenacity that I would come away from poverty, that I would come away from teen pregnancy. I would come away from all of those particular ideas that kill dreams. And then I would use those experiences by the way of tenacity, which is the quality of determining and determination that you are going to do something. And that despite the difficulties, you're going to do something. How does that feel? When that lands in your body, that should feel really solid. But we don't teach tenacity, especially anymore. It's always for so many people a learned experience, and it really shouldn't be. It should be a lived experience, but one that we teach because it's part of it. There's nothing worth having, not worth determining to do something to have it. Call that? So for us to achieve a goal, a vision, an aspiration, we must have tenacity mixed in that bowl. It's not enough just to dream. That's one of the problems. It's not just enough to dream. Tenacity, the dogmatic desire to get it done. The dogmatic desire to get it done is like watching an actual animal, which is a dog specifically, run after a treat. You dangle the treat and they're not stopping till they get it. You dangle it low, you dangle it middle, you dangle it high. They're going to do whatever it takes to get to that treat. They're going to lay in front of you for hours until you give them that treat. They're going to whine to get that treat. They're going to circle back around to get that treat. They're going to remind you at every turn, you got something that I want. Do we have that dogmatic attitude? Most of us have it. And I say most of us because some of us feel like it don't take all that. We don't have to be all that. I'm quiet, I'm calm, I'm reserved. I don't do too much. And that's okay. I get that. But that doesn't mean that you don't have to invoke the spirit of tenacity in order to get it done. You can be a quiet, dogmatic, tenacity spirited woman. You don't have to be loud or boisterous. You don't have to be assertive, aggressive. You just need to be assertive. There's a difference. There are times when it's called for aggressiveness. There are times when just being is not enough. The dream is so vast. It's yours. So we tend to put it in this box, right? Put a bow on it and call it just a dream. When it's the prize, it's the surprise. It is the prize. And there it goes. I find the parts I love about tenacity, based on my own life experiences, is the idea of perseverance. I like the dogmatic part for sure. I've had to operate in it. Perseverance and persistence has been a hallmark to my life. Perseverance and persistence. Deciding how far I'm going to jump. And once I decide how far I'm going to jump, tenacity says, jump all the way, Lori. What does all the way look like? So as an example, for the last 12 years, Girl Go Be Great Lifestyle Success Company has put on many conferences, many major conferences to empower women to go be great. We've had lifestyle on the stage. We've had business on the stage because I believe they intertwine, right? So you can call it personal development or professional development. So one of the key factors to that is in each one of those times, we had to go all the way. We've done a Girl, It's Your Life success tour where we traveled the country in the U.S. And we've done, I pretty much think it all. We've had a mastermind where we brought high-level women entrepreneurs who, are invested in their business upwards to tens of thousands of dollars to learn. I've hosted these kinds of events. We've had 300 women in seats. I'm going somewhere with the story. And we've had 30 women in a seat. High level tend to have sometimes lower numbers because you're more specific in who you're working with on what specific area. Bigger numbers are more open, concept in a conference, and it has various stages and discussions. So with all that being said, going all the way means in each one of those instances, we have to do it all. We have to go all the way in. We have to put it all on the line. We have to be persistent. We have to be and persevere and have perseverance to get to the end of the big thing we're doing, because there's so many variables. So your dream will have many variables. And in doing those events, we've learned so many things that we can't even, we could write a book about how to do a live event, right? How to connect with people, how to pick your speakers. That may be something that's dropping right now. Jessica, you grabbing it. I have several business books I will be, creating over time. That's what my next couple years look like really putting my knowledge out in the world and getting paid handsomely to do it because we've done the work. We have the receipts. One of my other ideas, and in this moment, the perseverance that it took to create these, right? It took Not only the tenacity, the audacity to think I'm determined to get this done, to achieve this something, but it took perseverance because there were many no's, many moments where it could have looked like a fail, but it turned out to be a yes and a big win. It takes a team, it takes logistics, it takes mostly believing in a dream. My dream was to host women in live conference experiences, but that takes something beyond what most women have, full-on proof that is possible. So a lot of us operate in full-on proof of the impossible, right? That it's impossible for you. All I see in the word impossible is possible. So that takes for you a tenaciousness with the ness on it. The audacity to think you could do this something that's so impossible. So the dream has impossibilities at every turn. And whether you see it as that would be because there may need to be more emotional growth for you. You may need to do what we heard last night in our session, assess where you are on an authentic level. That was a powerhouse session with Dr. Norma Hollis. You may need to exfoliate. That was incredible drips and drops of what and how the scalp, right? This right here, that is a covering over our brain and all the membranes in there, what it needs in order to produce for us to breathe, for us to think, for us to, be a part of our own body. It starts here, the crown. And you notice when you're a baby, you get your crown massaged so it can mold. You get all this love around your membranes here. The older you get, you start ignoring everything that was designed for you to live inside of this experience of achieving anything. I believe all of that matters. We tied that scalp self-care into dreams yesterday because we need to nourish the dream from the scalp of it, which is the core of the dream, right? We need to learn how to never just think, oh, the dream doesn't need all that. We know different now, right? Not giving up. That's right, Ms. Virtue. But it also means a couple of these things. It means that's right, despite any difficulty. But it also means some other things like what I'm expressing right now, right? And what is important to grab to achieve a goal, which is to dream, you will have no choice but to do one or two things. You want it, you decide you want it, you don't want it, and you decide you don't want it. Because if you want it, you heard last night through one of our other very powerful sessions in the Dream Talks, 100%. 100%. I'll never forget, I was in the Global Leaders Program, and that program is and was probably one of the most powered programs that I've ever been in terms of a business training and speaker training program. And it was driven with all of us who have a core value of wanting to be and wanting to do global leader work. And I was told by Lisa Nichols, who is the CEO of Motivating the Masses, and we were in one of our training sessions with her and the business training coach, Susie Gardner, and all these people we're from around the world, right? And I had the audacity to be in that room. I had the tenacity to stay in that room to achieve something despite my obstacles at the time. I wanted to be a global leader. I didn't know when the dream was going to manifest, and I'm inside of that now. We're going to talk the power of manifestation. Remember, I've been promising y'all that, but I want y'all to be in the right posture for it. So one of the very key points here I'm going to drive it home. She said something to me on that 100%. She was a little bit on me about something. And she said, Lori, do you know your 100% is most people 30%? And I never heard that one before put that way. This is why I know most women, if not all of us, need support. Someone 10 steps ahead of us. I'm going to be introducing something called the Dreamer's Box. Tonight, I'm going to be introducing the Dreamer's Box. I'm going to want you to get ready to support yourself. I'm 10 steps ahead. I've done things, and I said this to a very trusted friend not long ago, that if I just stop doing anything, I don't do nothing else the rest of my life, I've already done it. I'll leave that there. I said some other stuff too. I don't have anything else to prove. I don't have anything else to do other than philanthropy work. I messed that one up too. It's just the tongue tied thing. Giving out to humanity. If I just stop right now, just giving out to young girls, seeing them successful and helping humanity, whether that's the elderly, going to visit, I'm going to do all that too. I'm going to figure it out because that's what my body has been telling me, that keeps me vibrationally connected to why I exist in the world. You got to find that out, like Dr. Norma said, right? This thing we do to create money, whatever that thing may be, you got to figure that thing out on a dream level. I've been thinking about that literally for almost 24 hours. Like it just dropped right back in my lap. I feel so fulfilled by the dream talks we've had, and I'm excited about the dream talks we're going to have today. So we're going to give you an opportunity to go from dreaming to doing. And the Dream into Action Dreamer's Box is one of those ideas that gives you everything you need in this one beautiful box to help you push past a fear, push past failing over and over again, get some specifics, make a new habit, get excited, have some fun with it all in one. Dreamers inspiration, dreamers momentum, and dreamers transformation. The boxes will go out right before Thanksgiving. Around that time, you'll have your Thanksgiving box. You'll be able to go in and get your box ordered. It's two, price points for the box. And it depends on what you want to achieve. You can achieve, it comes with me live in the box, along with the digital products and the physical products, or you could choose just the box with the digital products and the other things tangible that come with the box. The only difference is one of them comes with coaching with me, and one of the boxes come with no live coaching with me. There are things in the box, okay? The price point for the box is incredible, right? One of them will allow you to get it like quickly. The other one, you might have to think a little bit. And the only reason I say that is because sometimes, spending $300 and some dollars, that's what one of the boxes will cost. If you bring me in with your coaching, the other box will be under $200 if you don't want to bring me in with your coaching, right? You just want the digital products, what we've already created for you. And we find those to be pretty awesome as well. They come with all kind of packaged up things. But we got the box decided. See that pillow behind me? You're going to be able to get that pillow, and I'll be showing you all of this tonight, okay? Listen, girl greatness, when you decide that you want to be dogmatic about it, when you decide, you're simply going to not just take the dream at face value, that you're going to explore the dream, and you're going to be persistent about the dream, and you're going to literally put some tenaciousness on that name of that dream, that's when that dream will really come and fulfill. Fulfillment is the ultimate. It's the goal, right? Fulfillment is the difference between the yes and the no. The ability, you have that. You're bright. You're happy. And if you're not, then we can get that handled. Happiness will require a little work, but you can get that done. That's one of the ideas of creating, being happy with it. We heard that last night. Yesterday, we heard joy. Now, I've had to practice joy comes in the morning in my own life. Okay. So we're getting ready to bring on our first speaker. Am I right, team? Our first partner. And I want to make sure, let me talk with my team, making sure I got the right scheduled time here. If not, then I can go ahead and do manifestation. Okay. So we do have our first Dream Talk speaker, Hajadina Corbin. You can bring her on this virtual stage. Jessica, thank you. And the girl gonna be great team. Shout out to Ope in Nigeria. Shout out to Kamathi in Kenya. And shout out to Purity in Nigeria. Shout out to Jessica, our operations manager, working with our tech team, Willie Techie and the whole team. Shout out to each of you. You make me look amazing. I'm ready, Jessica. I'm going to bring her on the screen.
Okay. I don't know why my camera's not working.
So hello, everyone. Welcome in. While they're getting her set up, I want to just welcome everybody in again. Let's do a little bit what I call dream direction while they get her set up. So I want to ask a series of questions. This is called dream direction. How does it feel? Either way, keep an open mind, okay? And trust what your body is saying to you. How does it feel when you get this idea, which all of us have had? You can bring her on the screen. My team, you can bring her on. I'm just going to ask this one question. How does it feel when you get this one idea, right? And you start getting excited about the idea. So I want just to see where it lands in your body. And you make and you also start to feel a little anxious about it. And then you also start to feel a little worried about it. You also start to feel a little desperate about it. And then in a moment, you just let it go. Because all these feelings happen, bam, 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 bam. As soon as the idea actually materialized. What is the outcome of that for you? I want you to sit in that and think about it. Where does that land in your body? How many times have you operated in that? Like you get the idea and then all of these emotional feelings come with it. Anxiousness, worry, desperation. But there's no specifics in any of this. Like how many times have you experienced that? Let me tell you what that looks like. That looks like a give up on the idea. Before the idea was able to even give you any type of information, you release the idea under the pressures of the lack of understanding how to just sit with it. I've shared this with my clients when they did a program called The Big Idea. You have to sit with it. You may have to sit with it an hour, 2, 3, 7 days. You have to sit with it before you just allow this pressure that's being put inside of your body. How about if I said to you, that's not the resistance to the idea, that's mostly the resistance to the way you show up. In studying the power of resistance, we really got it a little wrong. What if I told you that resistance is to bring you up into looking at it strategically, looking at it about how it makes you feel. Remember, we talked about that day one. Like, how does it feel versus how do you see it? How do you think it? How does it feel? So I want you to start practicing. How does something make you feel? Maya Angelou said, it's not what people say, it's how they make you feel. So if it feels like this is an idea I need to keep my mind open for, then that's what you first practice. What is the first feeling, right? And don't say anxiousness is a feeling, Lori. Worration is a feeling. Desperate is a feeling. It ain't specific enough. That's the problem. Specific feelings. And even then, good education, not great, will tell you don't just trust the initial anything, study it. Because the more we study it, meaning check it out, assess it, right? The more we get information. That's all I want to share with you in that. That's one of my dream directions, directing you to sit with it. Don't just discard it because of those initial feelings that show up. Because on an intuitive level, those feelings may be only showing up because those have been your life experiences, not new information. And that's where a lot of dreams just get ideas, which is dreams, get stopped right then and there. Welcome in Hajadina Corbin to the Dream into Action Summit.
Thank you, Lori.
You are welcome. Welcome in. Let's get you hyped over there. Let's get you
Yes,
excited. Let's get you ready for today. As they said,
I'm
ready for the
ready.
world.
I'm ready. My
And
camera's
I'm
not
ready too.
ready. I'm on my computer camera. I don't know why my other camera is not
We're not going to do it. We're
working,
not going to
but
do it. It's
here we
okay. We
are.
see you greatly. We see you
Okay.
greatly.
Okay.
Greatly. Come on in, girl. Greatness. Dina, Haja Dina
Yes.
Corbin. We want to start with something very differently than the other Dream Talks. I want to
Okay.
start with when you met me. I
When
want
I
to
met
start
you,
there only because when I looked at my notes, I saw that missing. I think it's important to share because it's going to segue into our conversation. When you
when
met me, tell me, don't just tell me, tell us what was going on in your life. You could tell us where you met me, but I want
okay.
you to make sure you go into what was going on in your moment, in the reason why you believe you met me, because this is going to lead us into manifestation for sure.
Okay. All right. So I was newly retired and I went to this conference in Maryland, I believe, with the intention of hiring a coach. And I had started to really look at my business differently because I was retired and I wanted to spend more time in my business. And I was really intentional. And I said that I was going to say yes for 2 years to everything I thought would impact my business. And I really appreciated what Susan said last night about going alone. So I
Mhm.
started traveling these different conferences alone. Of course, with my husband traveling with me. But so when I met Lori, my intention was really to be hired by another coach, right? The coach was there, and that didn't work out. That did not work out. As a matter of fact, it was two coaches that I thought I would have hired before I met Lori. So when I went to this conference, there she was, right? And the person who I wanted to coach said, "No, not yet. Wait, we have some other coaches that'll be coming on. You may resonate a little bit more with another one." So I said, "Okay." So I put my little debit card back in my pocket and went to the event on Saturday. And that's when I met Lori. And Lori, at the time, her hair was blonde, and she had these not heels but stilettos,
Mm.
and she jumped up on the stage and she said, "If you're not doing anything that's going to make you
Mm.
pee your pants, then you're not doing enough." I said, "Well, whoa, what, what was that about?" And then she made us write our obituary. And she talked a little bit before having us write our obituary about what do we want our dash to look like. And she played my mother's favorite song, and that was played at her funeral. Um, uh, I'm coming up. I think that's the right name for it.
I'm going up the
I'm,
yonder.
yes, I'm going up yonder. And I cried like a baby. And she went around and she touched every woman in that audience. And I wasn't sure whether or not I was going to hire her. And then when I went up to her, the warmth, she just, it's like I was standing in line, there are other people. And then I kind of just went past everybody else and we just embraced. Even before we said anything, we just embraced and we just stood there and hugged each other for a while. And then I started telling her a little bit about who I was and why I was here. And she started telling me, about her program. And the first program I got in with Lori was the Big Idea. And it was very interesting when I joined in last night. You were talking about how when you have a dream or a goal, and if you don't act on it, it'll move to somebody else. That's what you were saying. And I was thinking about that because even in my coaching, when I coach women, that's one of the books, even though it's not like a big idea kind of concept that you had in your program, I think that's a really good book to read. And it's
Yes.
true. If you have those dreams and you don't act on them, they will go somewhere else. And then when I got into this program, some of the things that Lori asked was like, I was like, what is wrong with this woman? She is really like out of her mind kind of thing. I never said that to her, but I'm saying it now. And I've told her this before. And I was like, and then I started thinking, I said, some of this stuff you just can't make up because Lori, she never came to us. And even now, she never acts like she has it all together. It's always a growing stage and she's bringing women in to grow with her. So when she was doing these things and was telling us to do these things, she was always saying it was from experience. It was from experience. I was like, well, goodness gracious. And then I started thinking, some of this stuff you can't make up. Like some of the things she had asked us to do, you just really can't make this stuff up. So I just kind of started relaxing. And one of the first things she said to me was trust the process. And I was like, well, what does that mean? We haven't even started anything. What process are you talking about? So I had to really adjust to a whole new way of relating and interacting with people because before meeting Lori, most of my interaction was with Muslim women. Like Lori was the first non-Muslim woman that really came into my life and became a true part of it, right? Well, I had friends like when I was at work, like, some, people like that, but I'm talking about coming in and really kind of guiding and listening and forming a bonding type of relationship. All of the other ones I already had. This was very new to me, right? And then I traveled it alone. So, and I did it by intention to travel it alone. And the rest is kind of like history. I started, developing my business. Story helped me really develop my business. Do some ideas, help me write my book, my CD, my wellness box that I'll be talking. I'll be launching soon as well. And I just I enjoy the the lessons that I get, the experience, and having someone who really is not just about her growing and spreading and stretching and connecting, but really wanting to bring other women along. And that's special. You don't meet that a lot.
Awesome. Let's segue right in. So you had set an intention to fully
Mm-hmm.
take form when you showed up to that
Yes.
conference.
Yes.
So I want everyone to write that down. We're going to talk the power of intention very quickly with Hajadina. You fully engaged you in that moment to have an intention to take form for what was next, your next dream. What was the next dream
Well, my next dream
when you
was.
came to that conference? What were you seeing? You're just retired.
Mhm.
And what was the next dream? What were you brewing with?
I wasn't really sure, Lori. I remember because I was a retired special education teacher, having served the children and families in the great city of Newark for 32 years. And I always said that when
Mhm.
education got to be like a business kind of thing that Allah would bless me to have something else. So I knew I had this essential oil business and herbal business, right? But I didn't really know how to put it all together, package it, and make it work for me, right? And
Mhm.
work for other people in a capacity that I could earn money from,
Okay, stay there.
right?
So I want to welcome each of you that's joining in from LinkedIn and other places. And whether you're coming in from the email community, click the link. You're coming in from social media, welcome in, Girl Greatness. We see you, and we're so happy you're here with us because we're making some inroads today. So dive into this conversation, see yourself, and listen intently. So Hajadina Corbin had served our children for 32 years. She had retired and she found herself. There's another part before we really dive into intention, because she came to this conference where she met me, which is how many years ago now?
Oh gosh, what was that? 2017?
It was no, it
Yeah.
was earlier than that. It was 20 yes, 2017,
Yeah,
16 or
because I,
17.
I
That's
remember
right.
2016. It was you had
16.
a conference in 2016. I heard about, but I didn't go. It was just like I was overwhelmed with so much because during that time of my retirement, it was a very dark period for me.
That's what we want to talk
So
about.
yeah,
So
yes.
let's talk about that little period after retirement, that period where it got dark.
Well, for the first time in my life, I was really kind of alone, right? My children had moved out, married, having, had children of their own. My husband was called to be with a very sick relative. So I found myself in my home alone for really the first time in all my life, being the youngest of 13 children, always having somebody around me, always having somebody to do things for me. I had to really kind of figure a lot of things out for myself. And it wasn't that I didn't have anybody that I could go to because I wasn't emotionally astute enough to realize what was going on with me. I didn't even know how to ask for help. Right. So I found my myself in developing my business and
Mm-hmm.
engaging in some of the programs that Lori had and some of the other programs that she turned me on to, like suggested I be involved in. Right. So
Mm-hmm.
when that began to happen, learning my business, I had to make decisions. I had to you redesign yourself, right? You reinvent yourself. I was in control. I didn't have anybody to tell me what needed to be done. I had to make all of those decisions. Remember, I was in this big idea program, right? So we were charged with coming up with programming.
So stay there real quick. So before we dive over there, we want to go back to this dark period because everyone needs to catch this.
Okay.
The dark period produced a new dream.
Yes. The dark period produced a new dream. And what I had to do in that dark period to be able to get the Dina back that I wanted to become, not necessarily who I was at that time,
Mm-hmm.
but what I wanted to become because I didn't have those things around me to keep me in the Dina that I was. I
Mm-hmm.
had to set intentions. I had to begin to set intentions. I had to shift my mindset. I had to think and look at things differently. I had to understand that, okay, you may not be able to do this yet, because that's what a growth mindset. I had to embrace the growth mindset. I was always open to learning, trying new things, right? Adventurous, but I
Mm-hmm.
had to really embrace that now because it was just me, right? So that the intentions, the growth mindset, and then surrounding myself with people who were in surrounding myself with people who were looking to change and move in different places and spaces, if that makes sense, right? Because it wasn't that the people that I knew weren't in those places and spaces, but remember what I said. I did this journey alone. So when I got in these places, and Miss Susie was saying it last night, it forces you to be open, right? It forces you to speak up. So I really had to learn to speak up for myself. And I was always a person who didn't want to be in the forefront. I was pushed to be in the forefront because I had a business, I had a product, I had a book, right? So I had to begin to trust the process. I understood what that meant now. I had to set intentions, I had to change my mindset. And I really started using the oils, my essential oils, more purposely, right? I had purposefully, because I knew the power that they have in raising vibrations.
Okay, we're
Because
gonna stop right there.
okay.
And I'm stopping her because she on a roll, and I want to make sure y'all get it. Because guess what? When you have mastered something, you can roll like that. You start to roll it out
Yeah.
because you have mastered it. But when you first come into the dream, the idea, the goal, the aspiration,
Stretching.
you can't roll nothing. You don't even know if you coming or going, right, Hadradina? So I want to
Absolutely.
step back for a second and make sure everyone grabbed hold. She was in a rough place, a dark place. She had not had to be in that place before. She didn't recognize herself.
Mm-mm.
And in that moment, some women are struggling, Dina, with the avoidant disorder we talked about, right? It is a serious, I don't think talked about enough. I'm sure psychologists talk about it, but I know that the avoidant personality disorder is developed in so many women because of these moments of darkness
Mm-hmm.
where she doesn't know where to go, who to go to, or how to get there. Where, who, what. What do we need to say to her? Because in this moment, this is stopping a lot of women from even getting into any type of action.
Okay.
So let's tap that because you had to find a way out of that first before you ended up over here working on the big idea and getting the dream out. You had to first come through that little piece of a portal. And I don't mean little, let me say that big piece. Had it not been you navigated that piece, which I believe was you set some type of intention spiritually because of who you are in the world. Because that's what it took. Because you had no design. You didn't
Right.
have a design for do this next, Dina, Hajadina, do that next,
Mm-hmm.
go to that conference, talk to that person. Something guided you. What was that?
Well, like I said, I went with my intention. My intention was to come up out of this deep dark space that I was in. And I began to really listen to myself and listen to my coach, who was Lori Pelzer, right? And I began to find people that believed in me and gave me guidance,
Okay,
right?
let's
And
step back one more time. I know this is the interview that everybody didn't know. That's why we're doing it. This is the dream seat. So before you met me, though, how did you make it to that conference? Because you were in a dark place. What drove you? What got you up and out of that avoided maybe moment, that massive social anxiety moment? That's what some women are going to need when she see this interview with me and you. First,
it
you
had
want to
to,
get out of there.
right. It had to be better. A
Okay,
lot,
had to be
I
better.
kept hearing bigger, better, bolder, bigger,
Okay,
better,
there it
bolder,
is.
bigger, better, bolder. And I started living in bigger, better, bolder. And I started living in words that you fed me, right? Phenomenal, action. I started living in specific words that were actionable, that gave action and foundation to what I was doing. And I remember going on Facebook. That was a whole nother thing. Like, I took another course on going live on Facebook, and what does that look like? And I remember the first time because I used to hear it in my head, bigger, better, bolder. Saying it, it was like, oh, it is. Because you can say it, but if you don't feel it, if you don't embrace it, then it's for naught. Right. So when I
Mm-hmm.
began to embrace The bigger, what does that look like? You got to do something better. It's not always going to be like this. And bolder, you have to step out. You have to step out. And that's what led me to the conference, because even though I was in that dark place, another thing was I still had a job because I hadn't retired yet. So there were people, there were children that needed me. Not so much my family, because like I said, they were out and, hanging, and they really didn't know what was going on with me because my husband wasn't in a lot. So I was home alone. So I had to begin to not think about myself and how what I was going through was impacting me, but I had to think about also the impact that it had on my students that needed me. Right? There were people who needed me to show up bigger, better, and bolder.
So the
And
children were you know how if you wasn't grading in geometry, no, I won't hold it against you. So you got that, remember the plane
yes,
and the parallels and all of the lines and the numbers, they started to intersect.
yes,
So the children drove you into a posture. You found this core intersection of something to pull you into your message you saw downloaded.
yes.
So for every woman who is experiencing avoidant personality disorder, you are self-sabotaging at every turn. I want you to hear this. She had a moment, this I call the Kairos moment. It's bigger than an aha moment.
Mm-hmm.
It's the kind of moment where it all will happen. In that moment, you won't get all the answers. A Kairos moment is supposed to be. It's a moment, it's a spiritual moment. And what I love about Kairos moment, how many of you actually know about Kairos moments? Let me give you something. Give me 1 second because I didn't plan to go here, but I'm going to go here. Okay. And so when I think about a Kairos moment, it's a time when God acts. It's an opportune time. And God will use his people, meaning that person he chose, and he will move you away from all of the things you're experiencing in the world and pretty much thrust you into that moment.
That's right.
You can feel it.
Yep.
I love the Kairos moments in my life. I can remember many of them. And what seemed impossible to act on by yourself, there is a spiritual moment in time that will move you and measure it for you, because there it was. Hajadina Corbin started to get measurement.
Yep.
And then the dreams started to pop. The measurements happened. I showed up. They're measured now. He's not just going, the Allah, the God you serve, the spirit, the universe, the Mother Earth, not going to just give you the moment and not measure it. Measure it by what is happening. Measure it by who is supposed to be involved. And this time, that's why it's called Kairos moment. It's not in any way, it's not even transferable to someone who cannot hear it or see it. Am I right?
That's right. It's yours.
That's what happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what she experienced.
Yep.
I was summoned. The reason I know I was summoned because there were things behind the scenes that I wasn't going to come and do that keynote. We'd had some things in the back, which is business related with this particular group that bought me in. We had a $3,000, $500 conversation. And you can call it a little bit of money. You can call it a lot of money. You can call it whatever you like to call it. It wasn't about money as much. It's about moments in time. I felt the pull. I kept getting the pull. So some things we just don't worry about it. You know, you're supposed to do my room this much. I'm a professional speaker, so I get paid to speak as well as I pay and invest to speak, depending on the stage. But this and this and this is supposed to be done, and everything just got real diluted. But I kept getting the pull. So while Dina was in a Kairos moment, all right, I was in a Kairos moment. That moment occurred during a season in her life. That's what the Kairos moment talks about also. That season. So her moment of measurement when she hired me as her coach was supposed to be, I did help her get her dream in the world. I did show her how to get in action. She's about to show you now how much action. She's getting ready to take it away. I didn't want you to miss any of the beginning, because the beginning is where people need to know, how did this really go down? Mm-hmm. We often start our stories at the end of a thing, and we forget, like Dr. Norma said, right, Hajadina, 30 years in the making.
Yeah.
So this Kairos moment also required people. So we had to help Dina slow it down even some more, so she could clearly see. She's an educator. She know how to do this. We had to support her. Girl Gonna Be Great. And Girl Gonna Be Great had to help her get clear so she could respond wisely to what was being asked of her on this next dream. And then her dream was born. She did a series of things. She got into my first program for her, which was the big idea. Come on, y'all. Is that not Kairos set up? Who knew she was going to join the big idea? Who knew the big idea would be so successful? Because most of us don't know how to put our ideas in the world. So Dina got into the big idea, and I'll let her take you from here to where she's at today, because today she does some very specialized work in the world.
Yeah, so everything happens by the permission of Allah, and it was God sent, really, like Lori explained. But a lot, like I said before too, what I loved about Lori, and still love about her, is the fact that she never act like she had it all. She always gave us room to grow and to grow along with her. So one of my big ideas, well, I had several, like I said, the book, and then I did I remember Lori, speaking and talking to us about, speaking engagements and coming onto her stage. So what she did, she set her own stage. She made her own stage. She, some of the conferences that she mentioned, before I came on. And when I saw her do that, I said, I can do that as well. And that's what I did. I set my own stage. And that was a dream for me, to have my sisters in Islam and my sisters who are not Muslim to come to a conference that I put together. And there was, three times it was canceled. The third time was a charm. It was a total virtual conference. And that was a huge turning point for me. And one of the things that we really talked about in those conferences, and the one that we had last year, was having women come up with this toolbox of things that they can tap into when they find themselves in these places and spaces that they don't want to be. And one of the things that I had to connect to when I found myself in the space, like I said, it was intentions. Well, first my mindset, and then intentions. But I really had to connect with nature. I really had to look at nature. I was asked not long ago, so what do you do? What do you do? And I had to think about that for a moment, because I find myself, and this is another thing, you have a plan, but Allah has a plan. In Islam, we say we plan, but Allah is the best of planners. Inshallah, right? We plan, but Allah is the best of planners.
Inshallah.
In working with Lori, you got it right, Lori. You know how to say it now, girl. So in working with Lori, she coached me to work with women, to speak to women. That's how the conference came about. But Allah has thrusted me over the last year and a half to work with young people. And that was not my thing. But I'm enjoying it. And it's a moment that Allah is truly stretching me, but I'm finding enjoyment. Was it a dream? Not so much, but the content of what I'm talking about, which
Mhm.
is connecting to nature, the simplistic things in life, mindset, yoga, getting a massage, just walking in nature, just, sitting in nature, right? Those concepts are simple, right? So when you find yourself in those places and spaces that you don't want to be, you can pull from those places. You can pull from those places. And when I came on, I think it was "What Were You Dreaming About?" I was riding to work with some preschool 3 and 4 year olds. Can you believe that? I worked with three. Even when in my career, when I taught, I wasn't working with preschool. Allah's put
Yes.
me in that position. I love it. I love it, and they get it. They love getting their hands dirty. They don't have no drawbacks. They love the worms, the bugs, and all that kind of stuff, right? So I saw these clouds in front of me, and it looked like I could just reach out and touch them. So I'm looking at this cloud. It was so puffy and white, right? Nature connection. So I googled in my cloud. I said, what does a cloud hold, or what's in a cloud? And it listed all the different types of precipitation: rain, hail, snow. But a cloud can hold. You see how you make those connections with
Mhm.
everything that's around you. Our environment, right? Is we have our home environment when we're inside, but when we go outside, there's so much that you can be connected to that will help you understand who you are and what you're called to do in this world. There's no In nature, there's no mistakes. There's always a cycle. It's always moving, right? Every season has its characteristic, right? So for me, winter is not my favorite season, but is the season for me that is most active, even though you don't see the activity.
So I got a question. I don't want to miss this. How can women then reconnect to nature, right? And gain clarity about her dreams, because that's where you are and I want to miss that,
Yeah. Okay.
right? Because you got some practices and you've deepened your connection.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
how can they connect with nature, because you're going there right now?
Yes.
Okay.
So first of all, go to my website,
Mhm.
right? And do a one-on-one with me so we can really sit and talk about what this looks like, because this is, as Lori mentioned, this is a whole new research and dimension that I'm experiencing, because it's so very powerful. Each season has its characteristic, right? So let's take winter. Winter is the time where you're relaxing, you're staying home, you're more of a homebody, you're feeling a little less anxious. You've
Mhm.
gotten past the, okay, it's early, it gets early darker, it gets dark earlier, right?
Right.
So that's a whole nother cycle, right? That's a whole nother situation. So you're moving past that. Winter is that season where it lays the foundation. So you're laying a foundation for every other season to come, right? So there's no leaves on the tree. You think everything is dead, but if you walk around and look, but there you'll see little buds on leaves. So then that brings the season of the spring, right? So I'm not going to get into the characteristics of every season, but winter and spring. Without winter, you won't have any trees with flowers
Mhm.
with leaves on them, right?
Mhm.
You just won't, because there's a lot of activity that is happening in the ground right now, that
Mhm.
those flowers, that grass, that tree, that plant that you so love needs that. So what
Stay
is it
right
that
there,
we need?
Dina. Haja Dina said, did you grab that? There's so much activity happening in the ground.
That's that inner work,
And that's right. So
right?
this activity that's happening, we tend to, which is the power of manifestation happening, we tend to kind of question it a little too much,
Mm-hmm.
as to why I always teach trust the process,
Yep.
leave room for the magic.
Yep.
Keep going, Dina.
And
I'm
I want to
excited.
say something about that leave room for the magic. When Lori used to tell me that, what did I say, Lori? What did I
What are
used to
you
say to
talking
you?
about?
Leave room for the magic. Yeah, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Because I don't believe in magic, right? But
Right.
I understand the concept of leave room for the magic. When you leave room, when you do what you're called to do, when you recognize what you're called to do, because we all have a calling. Now, whether you act on it, and here's the thing about callings and being able to hear your calling and work on your inner self, like winter's getting ready to happen, right? Like fall, the leaves, spring, fall has no leaves, have no place in fall other than the fall off the trees. They don't need to be there, right? So there, it's a release. Fall is a release,
It's a
right?
release.
It's a release, right? And then you have those leaves on the ground, and they become helpful in composting, and they break down, right? So you have to think about that when the leaves are falling, what's being broken down in your own life. You have to keep going back. Once you recognize the characteristics of the season, what is your I came up with a questionnaire that will help you determine what season is
Oh
your
yeah.
what is your most active season. And you look at those characteristics, and I guarantee you that's who you are, right? That's who you are. And the same thing with the elements: fire, water, right? Air. Which one are you?
Mm-hmm.
Which element are you? Knowing these things will help you recognize what you are called to do in this world, how you're called to do it, and who you're called to do it with, right? So when Lori used to say to me, leave room for the magic, I'm like, I don't believe in magic. But this is what I understand. When you do what you're called to do, there will be things that will happen that you can't even plan. You can't buy them, you can't plan it, you can't find it, but it will come. It will come because you're doing what you're called to do. And Allah did not put us here to struggle and to be unhappy. He put us here to expand and to grow. If not,
Mm-hmm.
we would still be the baby that we are when we came out of our moms, right? When we came out of our mothers. We are meant to grow. So, what does that growth look like for you? What does it look like? You can determine that. You can add content to your situation by understanding the cycles of nature, right? And then the other piece is the essential oils. They have the ability to shift, right? Lori, when we were in Canada, Lori talked about the circles, the when you're vibrating at a lower frequency, right?
Yep.
Our bodies have frequency. Every organ in our body has a frequency. Everything has a frequency, an energy base. You can feel it. You can feel it. You've experienced it. You walk into a room, you can feel the energy. You meet somebody, you can feel their energy. You
Mm-hmm.
know, you somebody is doing something against you, you can feel the energy, right?
Which is called aura.
Yeah, aura.
So so this is why I love that idea, because that idea of frequency, okay, vibration, frequency, and the power aura. There's a YouTube video I have on my YouTube channel here, and you can go and study it some more. But without the right frequency, moving your dreams forward,
Mm-mm.
you find yourself in and I'll be very honest with you, just a complete disbelief. Because really, the truth is not that you don't believe, you're just in a low frequency from those things that have caused you to not believe.
Yep.
As to again, why you need nature.
Yes, absolutely.
It's required, y'all. Girl greatness, hear me. You got to get into nature. You cannot try to survive this world we're in today without connecting with the trees,
Mm-mm.
connecting with the air, which is the wind, looking up at the clouds. Even if you sit on your porch in the night, a little cool, brisk air. We're too confined. We're too confound. We're too tight. It's the reason why when you go on vacation, you dream.
Mm-hmm.
You have ideas come, right? Well, if it's not an overly stressful vacation. If you go to the right kind of vacations, that's why you'll see writers say for their next project, they find this incredible space to write, and they might stay there for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, depending on their resources. But we don't do enough of that, especially as women of color, Black women. We try to create all this stuff, Hajadina, without the power of nature.
Simplicity.
And like you said, nature's simplicity. Y'all got to get that QR code. You got to go to her website. You got to learn more about her work, nature connected work. Her company is called Natural Ground One, as you can see there on the screen, her logo. What I love about what Hajadina did in my life, going all the way back to that moment we first met, this woman that I don't know, dressed in purple, hijab was beautiful on her. She was flowing. She gives me this energy drink, and I'm like, I don't do energy drinks. They got too much stuff in them, in my mind. But I'm trusting her. My body is saying, trust this woman, because I'm depleted for a few reasons. I'd had no nature connection. I was using all of my cellular level, right, to do this thing, because I dream of being in rooms with women, speaking into their life. And this woman in me, in that Kairos moment, she gives me a drink, a nature connected drink. By the time I got to dinner, I could have smoked weed. That could have been some weed smoking moment right there, but I don't smoke weed either. So when we talk about this, Dina, this nature connection, are we talking about vibrating at a higher frequency for the dreams and the goals to happen?
Oh, absolutely. Because that's why a lot of times we don't accomplish the things we want to, because we are so depleted because of our life. I remember, I say, oh, I'm so busy, busy, busy. And you said to me, well, you could be busy doing nothing, right? You just change the flow, change the word, right? It's so I like to say my life is full, right? Sometimes when you change the vocabulary of a situation, you change how you respond to that situation. And now when I hear that word, like, oh, busy, it just, oh, because no, I'm not busy. My life is full. I'm not doing enough. Right. So you have to you have to begin to change the vocabulary that you use to get what you want to get. And I remember the Big Idea. That was one of my favorite programs. And I model some of what I've learned from that program. When I do coach women, one of the first things you had us do was a garden. And I was like, oh, I'm in the right place. And I remember that year I was going to, this is before I got into native plants. I like this little manicured garden and flower pots and things like that. And that year I had decided, even before meeting you, I was just going to throw seeds everywhere. And I still have pictures of that beautiful, like, garden of just letting it go. I was in that area, part of my life where I just wanted to let things go. I needed to change a lot of things because I was getting Dina back in a different and more vibrant way. So when you talk about dreams, everybody has a dream in them. You're born with ideas, right? You're born with ideas that will help you fill in that dash, right? To fill in that dash. Now, either you're going to act on your dreams, right? Or you're going to die with them. It's just that simple. And I remember I wanted to go to a conference one time, and my husband, I have a good husband. I have a good husband.
He's good. He's good.
He's a great husband.
I'll tell y'all, he's a great husband.
He's a great husband. He's a great husband.
I wouldn't give it to him, if he didn't deserve it.
I know. And I remember we were traveling, like going here, all these different conferences. Like I said, I wasn't going with my girlfriend, I was going with him. And it was I forget even where it was. And he was like, no, we're not going. I said, you mean to tell me you want to let me die with this dream in me? And the rest is history. He even let me go the last time. He said, go on. I went by myself.
He did.
But so you have to continue. You can't give up. You can't give up. And I know Lori wanted me to mention the 4 windows. Did you want me to do that now, Lori?
I want to do this because what you have is so so rich. I want women to really get the essential oils and how they play in
Okay.
enhancing relaxation. So I'm going to bring you back. I realize that I'm going to bring you back.
Okay.
Jessica's going to find a space for us to fit in a special session on essential oils, playing and enhancing clarity and intention setting.
Mm, I have mine right here. I
What you
have
got?
two.
What you showing? What you got?
I have peppermint right here. I have two more events. I have peppermint. I put some in my water. It's kind of woo, uplifting. I inhaled it, and then of course my geranium,
Geranium.
right, which I use. It's like great women's oil.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the oils they have. Did you see that? Did you see that shift? No, see, you can't even see it. I shifted. It
Mm-hmm.
has the ability to really, really, really shift you. And I need my community to understand that. I've been dealing with essential oils for a very, very long time. And through coaching with Lori and talking to some other sisters who use the oils, elders in my community,
Mm-hmm.
I have decided that there are 4 oils that I'm going to introduce to my community. Lemon,
So we're
lavender.
going to introduce it right here. What
Okay.
I want you to do when Jessica get us a time, I want you to bring you back sometime in the schedule for our final day tomorrow. I
Okay.
want to make sure that we talk essential oils. We may just put it in the VIP side, Jessica, for the co-working space, so we can invite some more women
I'm
in.
honored. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Enhancing relaxation, clarity, and intention setting is key.
Yes.
So a lot of women don't have the tools,
No.
right? Girl greatness, you don't have the tools, the resources within your body on a cellular level to even shift. So what happens is you are unable
Yeah.
because there is a molecular, cellular level
Imbalance.
situation. Could
Yep.
be menopause, could be premenopause, could be cortisol levels are high. Extra stress produces extra cortisol, which
Yes.
again pushes back on the creativity sensors in our body and minds. Now you be like, Laura, you're a doctor too. Well, I had to learn how to doctor myself because I'm finding that doctors, if you're with me as a doctor, please take this the right way. Doctors are in need of the same thing right now to be nature connected.
Yep.
They need all to play an enhancing role in their life. I read a whole report, and I don't know how I know how it got there because I read a lot on women's health. And it's this one women health that I trust. And they're not in the US. They're called Women to Women. And I've taken their supplements. I also take Nutrafol, which is also a supplement that I was introduced by Sharmitra, and I've been introduced to essential oils through Dina. So I didn't just wake up like you see me.
Mm-hmm.
I am working on me, right? I need to get new oils. I'm out. I need to I still got some of my Nutrafol, which has helped me tremendously stay connected to my everyday life, right, Hajadina,
Mm-hmm.
and create. Because you don't have enough in you to sustain you. You don't have enough. So you're sustained by everything but what was created naturally for you. So these oils are natural. These are from the ground. They're young living. And I will be with Dina in that co-working session. And I showed this early on, and we'll be tapping in, right? So you can learn something about what it's going to take.
Mm-hmm.
Dina can go through the 4 windows. Then you see the windows? She can talk about how that relates, how you
Yes.
can put this oil in your food. This is one of our favorite ones on the back.
Yeah.
And I need to
They're
put that in my
amazing.
house right now. My home
It's
could need
amazing.
it needs a refreshing. When you have a husband that's been sick as long as my husband has been sick, you need to keep the room fresh. There's cleaning supplies.
Yes.
This is not to sell you anything.
No.
This is to sell you upon something, right? Upon a
Information.
new way to create and a new way to exist.
Yep.
You
It,
can't do it alone. Am I
yeah.
right, Hadra?
Absolutely. And it's information, and understand you always have choices, right? But a lot of what is being purchased in the store by way of essential oils is not, it's not real. It's not authentic. It's not the way Allah intended us for us to use those oils,
We
because
got
a
to
lot
get this
of them
message out.
are made in a lab. Yeah, and that's why we we decided, I decided to really concentrate on these four oils. And then somebody asked me, well, what about blends, right? That's coming too, because I thought about, and on your phone is something you can't really type in the comments. I was either on my phone or some other device, and I wanted to say, when you had mentioned something about motivation, right? Like people have sometimes you're just not motivated, because I remember when we were doing the big idea with the garden, and one of the participants hadn't done the garden because she didn't have a green thumb, and she just went out. She was just really afraid, I believe. And you told her, she said, I keep procrastinating. And you were like, well, no, you may not be procrastinating. It may just not be your time to do it. Or you may just not be motivated enough. You may need to have something else to help you, be motivated to start this garden or do whatever
Mm-hmm.
whatever the assignment
Mm-hmm.
was. And there's an oil called motivation.
It is.
Right? There's an oil called motivation. So the blends, I love the blends because they speak to what they actually do. Magnify your purpose, abundance, loyalty, right? These are things that we need in our life. So getting the blends will be more of a one-on-one type of situation. I think I'm going to really try to introduce three, which is really kind of hard for me to do right now, but they're needed. But first of all, I want to get my community understanding
Excuse me.
the importance of using these oils to help shift, motivate, and move you into a different place in space, and help you show up for not just yourself, but for the people that you're called to serve and support. And they have the ability to do that.
Woo! In the spaces, places, and spaces, and people and things. That's what we're here to do.
Mm.
But we can't do this alone.
No.
So if you've been listening and you tune in deeply, this is one of those conversations that I think women somewhat forget to organize her thoughts to tune into. When you hear yoga and you hear deep breathing and you hear oils and you hear nature, they go, oh, that again.
Mm-hmm.
But guess what? What you're looking at in Lori, Dina can see it. Haja Dina sees it on me. She knows when I'm at my best. She's been around me a long time. She could tell you right now whether I am rocking and rolling with nature and doing some very important things for my body or not. Which one do you think, Dina?
Oh, you're rocking and rolling, you and Casper.
Oh my goodness. Oh, he heard his name.
And Mr. Melvin be out there too. So yeah, y'all rocking and rolling.
I am taking care of me first for real. And
It's
this
important.
took some intention. Thank you, Dina,
You're
Haja
welcome,
Dina, for
Lori.
being with us. We're going to put you in that session. We got some more stuff to cover. We're going to bring Dr. Stephen Morrow to the stage. You
Thank
got
you
to
so
stay
much,
around for
Lori.
this woman.
I
I am
appreciate
so
it.
excited about the work you've done in the world. Go to DinaCorbin.com. She is not just holistic, she's natural. She connects to nature. She is a horticulture specialist. She is I can call her a psychologist, but she's taking psychology courses, which blends all of this. She's spiritual. She speaks Arabic. You got to speak us a little Arabic before you leave. She's going to send us on our way.
Well,
And we're going to bring you back
I'll
in.
just say my favorite, which is inshallah. We plan, but Allah's the best of planners. And assalamu alaikum. Peaceful greetings to everybody. Right.
Amen.
So yeah.
Amen. Thank you, Haja Dina, for
You're
being with us today. I know
welcome.
you got a full schedule.
You're welcome.
And I want you to go with love and light. Girl, Go Be Great thanks you. We appreciate you here. And we appreciate the work you're putting in the world. You have blown up. Your work has blown up. You didn't get to tell them how much you done blown up over there in New Jersey. You're sought out and you're seeked. And we appreciate that. You are the Nelson Mandela Award winner, and we celebrate you.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right, y'all, make sure you click her link. We'll see you on the next go round.
Yes.
Thank you, Girl
You're
Greatness.
welcome.
Mwah. what can I say? What can I say? We're going to take a 2-minute, actually, we're going to take a 3-minute break. And I look forward to being right back with you. I'm going to, and if you need to go take any type of, personal break, do that. And we'll be back in 3 minutes. Thank you so much, everyone. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. I am I'm ecstatic about my next Dream Talk guest. What a woman. But before we bring her onto the stage, I want you to grab a note that is so important for you so you can, of course, not just dream, but dream into action. So a lot of us, we dream. Some of us don't have a understanding if we're really dreaming or not, or have we had dreams, but we all do. We all do have dreams. I want to just settle that. I've heard that before. And it's mighty clear to me. The real problem is, do you think you deserve your dreams? Do you believe that you're listening to your dreams in the right mode? You know, should you be doing what the dream showed you should be doing? So there's a lot of confusion. Even if you do dream, there's a lot of confusion about the dream. And I want you to recognize that you'll have to jump a little more, you know, to get answers to your dream. You won't be able to just stay static. It's not just going to be something that is arbitrarily just dropped in your lap and it doesn't, you know, it gives you all of the details and everything you need to know is just right here. I'm concerned about you. I'm concerned about women as the reason why I did this, that I bought this for us for our end of the year. Because I could have never imagined in a million years that my dreams would have me have to jump so many times and jump so high. The woman I'm about to bring on the stage, she has the tenacity to dream. She has jumped high and she has overcame many obstacles and challenges. I call her dateless because every time I see her, she feels dateless to me. Like there's no date on her. You can bring Dr. Stephanie Morrow to the stage. Jessica, I appreciate you. And I just think ultimately when we talk about this dateless experience in women who've dreamed it and done it and dreamed it and done it, this is what some of us need to hear as well. Because the dream does continue for us to keep moving. And if you get stuck in the date of the dream, like, oh, that was 2 years ago and that happened. Nope, that was 10 years ago and that happened. But when I feel dateless is when I feel most free. When I don't put all the restrictions on how much I had to jump and how many times I had to jump for the dream. Dreaming is a jump rope experience. I want to welcome you to the stage. Thank you, Dr. Stephanie, for being with me. Can you hear me? Okay. I see you moving, but I don't hear you. Oh, here we go again today. Hold on a minute for me. Hold on 1 second. Okay. Try to speak for me. Log out for me, maybe because you were in the backstage too long. So log out for me and log back in. Jessica will log you back in. Okay. Sometimes the technology gets stuck. And there it is. Okay. Because none of us could hear her. So it probably got stuck inside of that tech weave. Let's see if this works. There we go.
I'm here.
There we go. There we go. Welcome in, girl greatness. Yes.
Hello. Ooh. Super duper excited to be here today. Very, very excited about this.
You look amazing. I'm excited.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I would not have missed an opportunity to have this conversation and to really be in this conversation with you around this work, as you were just talking about the idea of being dateless. The thought came that every new dream, because our dreams expand, requires a new version of us, which kind of really leads into some of the talking points that I drafted to talk through today before we go into our conversation.
Let's go for it. I'm ready. And I believe everybody else is ready. It's going to be a lot of women to see this on replay. It's in early part of the day. So go for it. I want you to share who you are, your talking points, and then we'll dive into any Q&A in just a moment. I'm ready. I'm all ready. I'm my pen out.
All right. Well, hello, everyone. Whether you're here live or you'll be available for the replay, my name is Dr. Stephanie Morrow. I'm the founder at Solstice Unlimited, which is a personal development and training, really an experience, a lab, a learning lab that I've put together that is really focused on building capacity in women. I've got a B2B part of my business as well as a B2C part of my business in Solstice Unlimited, where I work directly with the women. It's a lot around building that personal capacity for transformation and innovation. So as I was just kind of reflecting on my work, I've had the opportunity to work with Lori on some other projects, and so I know the impact that she makes in this space. And I kind of read through, this particular learning experience that she wanted to create for you all as viewers in terms of dreams. I really just kind of reflected on what it is that I wanted to share around this big idea of dreaming, and I came up with this idea of moving from dreams to reality and strategies for navigating the nightmare, because the reality is dreams can oftentimes turn into an absolute nightmare. And so when that happens, one of the talking points that emerged in reflection was really allowing the dream to expand. And in my experience, some of the most resistance that I have experienced along this journey has been when I was holding on to an old version of a dream, not allowing the dream to expand, not having grown or, really en route to growing and becoming the next version of myself to embrace the new level of the dream. Now, I do want to pause and say this. I do believe that there is a piece of us in terms of the work that we've been called to do that is at our core. That does not shift. For me, that did not shift. I always knew that teaching was at my core. Not only was it my profession, I'm a career educator, but it was also a spiritual gift that I operated in. And as I look back in every situation that I was in, whether it was business or professional environment, I was always called to teach. So I had to get real clear about what that calling was. And for me, it is to teach, right? And to build that capacity. But what that looks like changes, and it has changed over time. And so here we are in 2024. I really officially set out on this pathway about 11 years ago. And so that dream there's been many iterations of the dream. And so I've had to allow that dream to expand. And so if you've got a dream that you're holding in your hand or in your heart, and that dream has not manifested, ask yourself, is this the newest version of this dream, or am I trying to manifest an old dream in an old way on an old system? In just a few weeks, I believe that our nation, and not only our nation, but I believe our this globe will experience a shift that will be felt for generations to come,
Mhm.
right? So to think that we're up on that type of change, and we're holding on to a dream from 10 or 15 or 20 or even maybe 5 or 7 years ago, think about that. Everything is shifting, everything is growing, everything is expanding. So begin to think about what is it that you have at your core, and what does that look like for the new earth that is really coming online? How are you going to use that dream, that thing that you have, to really make an impact in the new earth? Because things are changing. And there's nothing worse than standing at a gate with an old code, right? Trying to get in, trying to
Mm.
get access. The numbers that you're putting in, those numbers were for last year. Those are for last season.
Mhm.
That was for the last decade.
Mhm.
So there's a new code that you're going to have to access to be able to move forward with that dream. The second part of that came around this idea of anticipating challenges. And I think too often when we have a dream, even what we call a God given dream, something that we've been given, we have this idea that we're going to move straight from ideation to implementation. There will be challenges. There's no straight line from
Mhm.
start to finish. And so the best way that you can do that is to anticipate that there are going to be challenges. And one of the ways that you can mitigate that is to be connected in community in places like Girl Go Be Great, right? Where you're given the tools and the resources and all of those things that you need. Because if you're like me, you didn't grow up, we didn't grow up, in terms of my business, just having this idea of a dream for my business and what I wanted to build. We didn't grow up with that. We grew up to go to school, get a good job, and it's nothing wrong with that. I'm a professional woman as well. I call myself a parallelpreneur, right? I'm still in the corporate grind, and I'm also building my dream, and I'm working on them simultaneously. And what I tell you is that you can't afford to trade one for the other. In many instances, we have to live in duality in that space. But we were really raised to just do that or to just work. So we didn't really know how to dream. And I believe that in a sense, we almost have to be taught to dream. We need the language, right? We don't know the language. We don't have the words. We don't have it's not really, in our DNA. So certain parts of it weren't really, weren't heavily ingrained in us. So we have to be taught to dream. So that's why I said places like Girl Go Be Great are so important, because they do provide kind of the steps, the blueprint, right? They can help you anticipate some of those challenges that I'm talking about, and workarounds of some of those barriers that you're going to face as a woman, and especially as a Black woman, as you are looking to realize and to manifest your dream. And the third idea that came was about turning the nightmares into lesson. We have the power to transmute really any experience. And what helps us to be able to do that is the perspective that we choose to hold about a thing. So often when we experience setbacks, or maybe, we have a disappointment or a letdown, and we've all had them. I often say, I don't have to see your scars to know that you have them, right? We've all had those letdowns and challenges personally and in our families and in businesses, and just navigating. Sometimes as women, we're like what I call an octopus on roller skates. There's so many parts of us and so many dimensions to the work that we do, and just trying to integrate all of these pieces at one time. You're going to have what you could perceive as failure. But how do you turn those those setbacks or those obstacles, or those adverse conditions, how do you turn that into a lesson? And it is the perspective that you choose to have, right? It's also adopting this idea and having this mindset of continuous improvement and expansion. There is no arriving. I'll get there. Well, guess what? When you get there, if you're still breathing, you're probably going to set a new goal, right? I believe that our nature as human beings is that of growth and expansion. And so as you're on this journey of pursuing whatever the dream looks like, and allow the dream to just be what it's going to be, allow it to flow, allow it to grow and to expand. As we do that, we know that we're going to anticipate some challenges. One of the ways that we can have support through those challenging times is to be in connection and in community with other women that are on their own journey of realizing the newest and best version of their dreams. And then having that shift in perspective, that the setbacks that we're going to encounter along the way, learning how to transmute all of those letdowns into lessons.
Okay, I'm going home now.
Stop it, Lori. Stop it.
I wouldn't have called you if I didn't think that I could write me a page and a half of notes in less than 3 minutes. Flat. Fresh notes. New code got an exclamation point.
Yeah.
New earth, because the earth is definitely sharing with us a very new ground.
Absolutely.
And a matter of fact, the dream won't be coming easier. I wrote a side note. It won't be realized easy.
Yeah.
There was a moment in time where our dreams seem a little bit more easier to reach. You can remember those, right?
Absolutely.
That's why I called you dateless. Because there were times when seasons, right, produced a little bit more ease and flow.
Absolutely.
Right now, we're going to have to, as you noted, transmute differently. There's a new code, and that code, which is interesting, My community has a gate. There's drivers coming in to deliver packages.
Oh,
They've gotten
wow.
really frustrated. The gate was upgraded. Atlanta is one of those places, it's becoming a mecca like Texas,
Mhm.
Georgia. There's 52 counties in Georgia. So I live really in by Atlanta. So we got all of these experiences happening. So the
Mhm.
codes changed, went through a whole thing with the homeowner association, and it was amazing to see how many breakdowns around the shift of that code.
Mhm.
But people dream of safety,
Yes.
but they didn't dream, Dr. Stephanie, that the code need to be changed to foolproof to safety.
Yes.
Because too many people
Absolutely.
had access to the old codes.
Yes.
So they didn't want to go through the training. So the gate gets real convoluted. They've had fights at the gate or
Wow.
about to fight. They fired the people that were the actual security. So what is all that to say? It is saying that you nailed it. We are face down in a process now where you're going to either figure out how to expand your dream, get that emotional growth, that support you spoke of,
Mhm.
but remembering there's a code though that accesses it for you if you got the code. That's what we want to
Yeah.
do. We want to give
Yeah.
you codes.
Yeah, and part of that resistance, you were just talking about, people getting frustrated and the fighting at the gate and all that because they don't have access. They've got an old code, right? And what's more frustrating to have an old code and you're literally standing there punching in the code. You don't even know, right? There's so much going on and there's so many distractions. Some people don't even know that they're holding an old code in their hand and they're
Mm,
standing day in and day out, punching the numbers, trying to get access, no access, access denied. Before you even realize it, somebody comes around you, they've got a code. I'm thinking about when I'm going into a gate, I'm standing there, I can't get in. Somebody has the gate. Somebody has the key code, right?
they
Many
do.
times I'll trail in behind them and I'll follow them and say, I don't know, but I need to know what they know. I need to go where they're going. I need to be connected in the way that they're connected
Mhm,
because I've been sitting here for 5 minutes trying to get in this gate, and in a nanosecond they came in and got immediate access. Right, right. Just
mhm.
thinking of this from a figurative,
I
standpoint.
love it. This is a perfect
Um,
conversation.
yeah, there's it's shifting. Everything is shifting, and I also agree that there was a time when manifestation seemed so much easier, but
Mhm,
it's almost like there are levels and dimensions to where we are and to what we're doing, and I definitely think that those were lower levels, not bad, right? Not good, bad, or
mhm,
indifferent, just
mhm,
lower levels. And so as
mhm,
we're up leveling, as we're upgrading, everything around us is shit. Everything, our motion and movement for this new earth that I'm talking about is up. It's going to be moving up. We're not going back. We're moving up. And I think 2020 was kind of a precursor to that, right? Giving us an opportunity. I often say that it came and like pulled the rug from, it
It
was a
did.
rug, a global rug pull, right? Around
Mhm,
so many things that had systems and ways of being and doing business and like things that had just been in place forever. And whether it
mhm,
was efficient or not, we continued to do it because it was what had always, it had always been done that way. And so 2020 was trying to get us ready, right, in a lot of ways
mhm,
for the shift and the move that I'm
mhm,
speaking about. And our dreams are part of that, are part of that new integration, right? And being able to do that in that way is so important. It can be scary because it is a new journey, and it's also a road that I believe is less traveled. So as you look around, you're seeing fewer and fewer people, right, that are on this road, that are on the journey, or that even have an awareness around, I think, the shift that it's taking place.
And that is exactly why I also decided to do this so we could explore these conversations.
Yeah.
These are why I call them dream talks, because you won't often get the opportunity to jump all the way in with experts without finding where they live and what they're doing and what's, you know, how do you fit in? So that's why I want to first thank you for, I believe this is a life saving conversation. I believe that there will be women that hear this and she said, oh my God, she spoke to me, New Earth, without getting so deep about it, because I know about the New Earth. Some women haven't been able to study and learn because you said something powerful, language, and we were taught not to dream in some ways.
Yeah.
And we got to be retaught how to dream. Because a lot of women heard dream killing language
Mm.
from, her family structure, societal language, as well as partner language. And I think women need to be clear that sex is not the litmus test.
No.
Language is.
No. Yeah,
Let's
it's
start
the
with language.
language, and I think it's the feeling that the dream produces, right? If the dream is, and we got this conditioning too, and I think a lot of this came through religious systems. We've been taught that you've got to carry people in terms of a burden, or the dream is a burden, and that the dream, or whatever it is that you want to do, like it's all encompassing. You got to give purpose, is what we call it in other spaces, and so you got to give everything. Everything is. And I'm like, that purpose sounds greedy. Purpose sounds like it's gonna take everything from me, and I don't know that I want to give that. Purpose, it should feel different. The dream should be life giving and not life taking, right? And
Ooh,
even
that's
though
really good.
there are going to be those challenges and all those things along the way, and the dream to me is a lot like your own children, right? They grow, they expand, they're doing things today that they didn't do when they were born. They look different. They're evolving, they're coming into their own. Our dreams are much like our children, right? My
Yes.
kids I've got a seventh grader and a ninth grader. And if my kids looked today how they did when they were born, there would be a problem. There would be something wrong. That growth has been stunted. There's been a lack of nourishment and nurturing. Something's wrong if in
Absolutely.
13 and
Great
15 years
example.
nothing has changed, right?
Great
And
example.
so I think we just have to be, to understand that, because there's so much, like you said, that has come with our conditioning that has really aborted any ideas that we had about dreaming, especially big ideas, right? Some dreams are safe, they're small, but then we've got those that have really, really, really had big dreams, great ambitions, wanted to do great things, and the conditions that they were in just didn't look like that they would be the launching pad for dreams of that magnitude. And so we did encounter, the life killing, rhetoric in our families or communities or circles or things
Hmm.
like that, which is why it's so important to be in community with other dream makers that understand the anatomy of dream making, how it looks, the different pieces and functions, and which parts interface together. And like there's so many pieces to that. And
Well,
so
see,
if you're
this is
not,
another reason why I like to talk to intellects, why I also chose the dream, magical dream makers around the country in Canada and UK. We'll still be listening to a few of, we got a UK Dream Talk speaker coming on and an African Dream Talk speaker, because this is a global conversation. When
yeah,
you break it down, the way you break it down, that's been the goal here, to break it down, to expand the conversation, because a dream, Dr. Stephanie, is we and you, me and you know it. Many other women who have graduated life experiences know it,
yeah,
who also have what we call the expertise to back it,
yeah,
and the real hardcore, studies. You have a doctorate, you're a doctor. So for you, this information that we're digesting feels very fluid. For women who don't have all of that, she's asking, she may be 60, because I know I've seen one or two of the women that I know, especially out of Canada. Some of these women are over the age of 55.
oh
And,
wow,
and so when we start talking about that part of the dream, I want to ask you one of the questions that was sent to you. What mindset shifts are essential? When we start talking about women hitting that middle age, right? I know the younger women got their own set of mindset shifts they need, but I'm 54, be 55 coming into 25. I put a post on, a comment on my post the other day about turning 55, 30 years of marriage next year. And I made a decision that I'm going somewhere new. There's
Mhm.
something, this old version of Dream Lori, even though I've been working on her, expanding her continuously, that growth that you speak about, the mindset a woman needs to have to shift, that essential, that essential shift when she hits middle. This wasn't on your questions, but I'm phasing 2 and 3 together. What
Yeah.
does she need to think about? Dr. Stephanie, I'm be 55 years old. Women start to think ageism.
Hmm.
They start to think bag woman syndrome. They really
Yeah.
do fall in a pit. And
Yeah.
dreams ain't at the top of the list.
Yeah. I get it. I mean, I'm there. I turned 50 last year. I know I don't look it, but I did.
Mm,
And I won't say that I struggled, but it was a reckoning coming into this idea of being half a century. Like I didn't know that day to cry, to celebrate. I didn't know how to feel. I ended up being happy. But I did. I had this mixed bag of emotions around, okay, now the reality is you probably have had more summers behind you than you will have before you. And that does. So I think part of that is sitting with that, right? And
mhm,
honoring whatever comes with that. It doesn't mean that life is over. It's not the woe is me, it's the end of the world. It's not that. But sit with whatever comes with that, right? We
mhm.
don't want to deny the process of growing in grace or aging or however you want to call it. It is a reality. I think culturally, we're into, this culture of so much of how we look and being seen a certain way. And, social media has bombarded us with all of these images. But I think culturally, and especially as women and as women of color, Black women, we've got to celebrate. We've got to move around this thing of anti-aging, and we want to celebrate aging in terms of it's a blessing. It's like a rites of passage, so to speak, to
Mhm.
be able to move into these new levels. And I think some of the reason that we don't value the experiences that we have with age is because we've been told that once we reach a certain age or have had a certain number of birthdays, that our stock is declining. And I can tell you this, I decreed and declared over my life that at 50 and moving forward, I wanted to look better, I wanted to feel better, and I wanted to make more money than I've ever made, working fewer hours than I've ever worked. That's my goal for the second half.
So that's the new dream.
That's the new dream, right? Because
That's
remember
the
I said that
expanded version of you.
that's the expanded version based on today's current awareness, right? And sitting in appreciation of making it to this point, because this is an honor. This isn't a death sentence. This isn't, some fast,
Mhm.
decline going the other way. So I had to shift that perspective and to see myself as still being valuable, and actually even more valuable now. I feel like I've had so many experiences, and I'm an educator, and I'm a lifelong learner just by nature. And so I feel like today I know and understand more about myself and the world and my place in it and how to interact with it than I have ever before.
Mhm.
That when you get that kind of clarity, that's going to produce a new dream. That dream,
Absolutely.
it can't help but to. So that dream doesn't really look like it did in my 40s or in my 30s, and heaven forbid, I didn't even know what dreaming was in my 20s, right? So those experiences have to be seen as valuable, but we can't try to project that our value onto others and into the world if we're not really embodying that. So we've got to embody the value that we know that we bring with age and with time and with all of the experiences, good and bad, that make that up.
There it
And I
is.
think the other part of that is also
Mhm.
understanding, and you spoke to it earlier about fluidity. I think another strategy for that is allowing that dream to be fluid, right? The fluidity of the dream state, right? Because so often we get fixed, and it's one dream. There's one way in, one way out, one outcome. And so that being static in that and being stuck and wanting that to happen in that way can just throw unnecessary resistance on our path. And so allowing the flow, going with the flow, getting in the flow of things, right? The wave always wins when we go, we love to beach in the summers. We don't really, have beaches here, not good ones anyway in Texas. So whenever we vacation, the kids want to go to a beach. So whether that's Florida, Mexico, whoever, wherever. And one of the things I've noticed about the water, wherever we go, when you get in those waves, that wave it always wins. You can stand in opposition of the wave, right? You can go in the other direction.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna lose every single time. And so I'm always reminded of that, of like, look, this wave represents the flow. So get into formation with the flow, literally learning to go with the flow. And that way, that water is always exactly where it needs to be. Water's never in the same place twice. Okay. It's always exactly where it needs to be every single time. And so just really getting into this idea of more of a flow state, I think, when we come to dreaming.
So right there, because I got a final question for you that's going to blow it all out and it's going to help women in business. It's the entrepreneurial thing. We're going to end with that one, but let's stay here in resistance. So you brought up a great point, and I'm going to segue into it. So we just had a comment. Yes, I feel and see 50 no different, but I probably need to grow up. One of our guests that's with us. So one of the things I would say is I needed to operate in more flow. I got scared when I turned 52. I was excited at 50. I was excited at 51. I had different, parties and different things. 51 was like, it's the one for me. And then I did a boho theme in a barn. And then 52 came and I went to Jamaica and had an incredible experience for one little piece. And then it went somewhere. They tried to jail me in Jamaica.
Oh, wow.
I slept in my daughter's room the night before her and her friends left. My friends and all of us, we were going to leave the next day. But that night, I ended up early morning, whatever, slept in my daughter's room. Somehow that became a problem. Long story very short, I was targeted. It's hard not to see me. It's hard not to see you. Women who show up big in the world. I was targeted. I recognized it later. I had to get my attorney involved, the embassy and everyone. They tried to jail me and say I stole the room night. How would I do that when I purchased my room separate? I wasn't sleeping with the millennials, okay? I was on the other side in where big girls stay. You follow me, Dr. Stephanie? You know, big girls who make a couple more dollars than the little girls.
I get it.
I knew what I know. My traveler's insurance plan forgot to put one more day on my room. So that night I had to just, I had all my room paid for. I'm like, what is this about? So I slept in my daughter's room at 4:00 in the morning. I'm getting up at 5:30 to leave the island. Well, 7:00. So it was like 3 hours I was there, something like that. Long story short, I did notice who did the setting. I was in an experience that I couldn't reach my husband. And when I did reach him, he didn't know how to transfer money electronically and do certain things. So I got, oh Lord, my girlfriends, everybody was scattered, leaving, getting their bags. Before you know it, I'm sitting in this alone space with these incredible people, without lack of better words. I'll make a point here. And all I feel was resistance to, here's a couple things. I felt resistance to who I was in the world because I was assertive. I felt resistance to what you just killed my dream birthday. Everything felt resisting. Everything felt resistful. Everything felt like, what in the world is happening? But then I go back. I had to learn to unpack my experiences in that age, because that age says I ain't putting up with no BS. So I had a different perspective of aging. It started to feel like a task. I'm on my dream birthday moment, and here this go. So things I recognize, I'm going somewhere. After I unpacked the resistance, it was really my own. Even though they did what they did, they tried to resist me from leaving, but my attorney handled that when I got back. I got literally what equivalent to probably 2 months or 3 months of vacation when we finished, right? And I wanted to sue them for almost $30,000 to $50,000. My attorney told me I would have to go back. We could get it. So instead, we had hired hotels who ran the result, do all of these other things, like give me like 300,000 points and plus an apology. And plus, we talked to the embassy. I was satisfied because we took a couple of vacations on that money, on those points. But the backing up, unpacking the resistance, it was really how I was feeling about myself,
Mhm.
right? And the energy surrounding my feeling of aging, which I didn't tie that together at the time, was just immolating,
Mm.
was bumping off the walls. I didn't really like being and coming into form of 53. I
Mm.
didn't really get it. The three was so synonymous, but I didn't get it. So here's what I want to talk about. Can we unpack this a little further? A lot of women furtherly find themselves further down in this rabbit hole of ageism, and she finds the resistance. I wrote this actually, but the resistance looks like perfectionism. She no longer compete with that. It looks like self-doubt,
Mhm.
self-hate in some places, in some spaces for
Mhm.
women, the fear of her next level of success for her dreams, her what ifs, her stuck spaces, unable to feel like she can move or breathe. Her body changes.
Oh, talk about it.
Right. So if we dig deep in this, the discomfort of this, the unknown of this, could be why so many women after 55 stop dreaming. You should just, I run up on these women so regularly. It's like been happening. That I've
Yeah.
even asked the question, should I start a community? But then I found that Cheryl Pullum, she got a community, not Cheryl Pullum, but Cheryl Williamson. She has a community. She's talking about it on her podcast. So I'll just, connect with her. But where's the resistance coming from? Is it coming from this place that you go back to talk about? The new code, the new version of this change, the
Yeah.
new earth, anticipating that the new earth is requiring a new way to see yourself.
Mm. Here's the deal, Lori. The new earth, which is just really a level of consciousness, right? It's
Level
not
of
a
consciousness.
physical place. The only thing that is going to separate the new earth and the old earth is people's levels of consciousness and awareness, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think that when we are looking at just new earth leadership and just looking at the world through this new lens, right? And there's so many unknowns and so many things. We know that everything is up for grabs. Education, finance, banking, healthcare, like everything around us is going to be making significant shifts over the next few years. So once again, it's kind of like the code. This old way of thinking was, once I get a certain age, I can't do this. I've got these limitations. That people on the old system, the old way of thinking, will continue to feel and think that way, right? Until they make a shift, the paradigm, because it's all about a paradigm shift, right? And a paradigm shift is really rerouting and re-navigating from an internal space. There's nothing external that changes. The world doesn't change. Society doesn't change. How they see you doesn't, may or may not change. It's going to be internal. So it's almost like this idea of it being an inside job. And unfortunately, we were taught to look to and through so many external sources for our validation and belonging and all of those things. And the reality, come to find out, and this is what I found out after all these trips around the sun, everything that I'm seeking in terms of this dream, like everything that I'm looking for, it's in here. So many we've been looking in the wrong places, right? It's like me telling you to look left, and I put the pot of gold to the right, and you going down the left. Well, they told me it was over here, right? So so we're going to, as long as we're looking for, you know, any of those things external of ourselves, and this is part of that new paradigm shift, right? And this is why you're hearing a lot of new language, and some people say, oh, it's school, or it's, yeah, that's fine. I'm not here to convince or cajole or to change minds or anything. but there really is something to it. And when I look around, nothing around me has changed. All of the changes have been here and here. And it's been how I've made the choice, because I think everything, we have a choice. I often say our choice, having choice is our greatest asset as human beings, is what separates us from animals, right? So leverage choice. I can choose to see turning 55 or 50 or whatever is as, this death sentence, or I can choose to see it in a new way. I can have a different opinion about that. We get to choose what we think about a thing. And it really boils down to that. I wish that I could tell you that there was a magic formula or a book that you could read or a class that you could take, but it's the work on self. And honestly, that work, I'm more proud of that work, the internal work that I've been working on myself a long time. It takes some time and some shedding. The previous speaker was talking about how fall is really all about falling away, living in seasons of fall, even when it was hot outside, still letting stuff fall away,
Yes.
right? Just that flow. This came, okay, what does that mean? Let me go.
Yes.
Learning how to just lessen so resistance is really it's a set point
It
that
is.
you have, right? Either this comes and I'm going to go with it, or I'm going to, to try to change it, or, that it's like fighting that wave in that water. And we're gonna be looking for you. You're gonna be headed back out.
We're
Because
gonna
that wave
lose every time.
every single time.
This is
It's gonna the
powerful.
wave is gonna swallow you whole every single time.
Swallow you whole. Everybody need to write that one. That's where I found myself, and that's when I said I got to do some new work,
Yeah.
no matter
Yeah.
all the old work.
And the work is ongoing, right?
It's
It
ongoing.
never, you don't get to a point where you say, okay, good, I'm good. And you hang up your work boots and say, okay, I've done enough work. Like, you've always got to be, looking to work, because it's just like that dream is going to be expanding and changing. And as the world around you changes, depending on what it is that you're doing, how that dream is even being shared with the world could look a
Mm,
lot. And so
very
if you're
key.
not willing to, to do that, or to live in kind of that constant state of flow, and you're going to always be encountering resistance. But I've just come to realize that I feel, and because I've been working on myself and really attuning, emotionally and all of that, I feel resistance in my body.
Mhm.
Just this week I was up against some things, and I said, uh, I felt it. I felt my shoulders tightening. I felt my stomach, the churn. I felt it. And I was like, oh, whoa, no, no, no. What did I do? I said, I've got to stop. She talked about it earlier. I said, I got to get out of nature. I need fresh air. I need to be among the elements. I need to recalibrate. I don't like the constriction that I'm feeling right now. And I knew that it was because I was experiencing resistance. So you've got to come to a level of self-awareness, right? Um, to be able to know when you're feeling that. Your body is going to tell you when you're in resistance, because it doesn't feel good. And
Absolutely.
and being in flow doesn't mean that everything is always going your way. And
Mm,
that's the other part of that too, right? Learning to surrender this idea of what we think the best outcome is going to be in any given situation. So just understanding that your body is going to tell you when you're in the flow and when you're resisting. And the goal is not that you're human, so you don't get into the flow and stay into the flow. I have to work myself into the flow every single day. And some days I'm in more than others. It's almost like a continuum, right? You don't make a decision and say, I'm going to live in the flow, and I'm in the flow for the rest of my life. It does not work that way. This is a daily walk.
daily. Last thing on resistance. I wrote after studying resistance. I started studying it because we definitely wouldn't talk that word.
Yeah.
It's not a stop sign, is what I wrote.
Mm.
Okay. And what I want each of you to do right now that came into this conversation with Dr. Stephanie, I want you to think and unpack what you heard. I want you to think differently as you unpack what she's been giving us. She has said a lot. I have 2.5 pages of notes, and I didn't know I needed no more paper. So this is mine. Okay. All right. Just side, and you see the code on there with the exclamation point. So I want each of you to know that while I may be the woman who set this up, the woman who called on the women to join me, Girl Greatness, the dream is always done, right? For it to get and look like you want it to really look. It includes more brainiacs. That's what I call us. It includes an expansion of a version of yourself that goes in and connect with other women that are versions of you. I'm a version of Dr. Stephanie. I got a piece of
Absolutely.
me, and we're really vibing today because I'm starting to do something with my hair that she's done with her hair that I didn't even see at the time, right? That I would ever go this way with my hair. I was in a different space.
I love it.
And I love it that you love it. Thank you.
I love
Because
it.
you've done the thing already with your hair, so you know where I'm growing to.
Yeah.
But what that too means is that the dream has growth that's happening in various layers. So this is not a straight line. This is why I wanted this conversation, because if to think of the dream as a dream girl, go get your dream, that is too low level for the power of dreams. I want to close out. We've said some incredible stuff. I mean, incredible. Women who are entrepreneurs, whether she's millennial or she's seasoned, whether she's either. I'm on a global mission. It's a dream. It's a dream that found its way in my body, and I'm honoring it. And it happened about 2 years ago. I already knew it was happening. I took the Global Leaders Program 6 years ago, but I didn't have an idea, Dr. Stephanie, of when it would actually manifest. So manifestation will be our top topic tonight when we come back at 7. I'm really ready now. I've been holding it for 2 days, and I'm going to really give it to you because Dr. Stephanie has given us one more piece that's going to add to this manifestation conversation. So it's manifesting. I'm building. The dream is to build a hub in UK. We already got a space in Canada, but we need to expand kind of like how we're doing it, like work on how we're doing it. Africa, we have our team building in Africa. My team is actually in Africa. So we've been doing the work behind the scenes and doing some, taking root. How does an entrepreneur dream big like that? See, a lot of people listen to one person tell it, but when there's a new perspective on the books, because I've seen your dream from afar, this new dream you're living in, you're now running women's associations.
Yeah.
But I knew that you had that already, right? I've been knowing of you a long time now. And for me, that looks like a dynamic dream shift, right? But that's going to also means that you had to explore a new side of what big expansion looks like.
Yeah. I think
and you shifted your brand.
Yeah, new brand. It's on. It's really. It's still kind of evolving and being hammered out now. Kind of, being built out as we speak. Even when I shifted, and I knew I was going to be making this shift and moving out of the Transformation Living Systems brand and into Solstice Unlimited, I didn't feel the need to rush into something new. And this is part of the answer. I knew that my dream was as unique as my fingerprint. Right. So I couldn't look to measure my dream and the progress of my dream against the dream of the next person. And we do it. This is what throws resistance on the path, right? You log on. I say, oh my God, Laurie is doing a dream summit. I gotta go do a summit. And so I go immediately, and then I go to replicate or duplicate what I see being done in the marketplace in my particular industry. I didn't feel the need to rush, right? Because I wanted to build something that was reflective of who I was, but who I knew I had become and was going to continue to be growing into this new space. And so I didn't feel that, I'm telling you, I did not, and I'm still building it out. I mean, there are lots of different pieces, and I've got lots of dreams for the brand and for the work I want to do. So I would encourage women to chart your own course. Chart your own course. And also keep it simple. Keep it simple, sis. Make it simple.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times when we have dreams, we have many like lots of pieces to it. I want to do this. I want to have a nonprofit. Like you said, I want to put the team in Africa. I want to be, and so we'll create this. We'll create resistance for ourselves because we say, if I can't do it all, I'm not going to do any of it.
Right.
Allow the dream to build. What can you do today where you are with what you have? Live that dream. Build that piece of the dream, right? Allow that to naturally grow and expand until the next phase or the next level of the dream. And so oftentimes, a little bit back to that resistance, that we experience so much resistance in dream making is because we want to go too far too fast, right? And nobody can put limits on you. I know the sky's the limit, all of the
Been there.
I believe I can fly. I get it. And those things are right. But we kill ourselves with resistance. I'm a big student of Abraham Hicks, and he says to gently reach for more. Gently, right? Gently reach for more. We do this when it comes to more, and then when it slips through our hands and we can't get a good grasp, then we get frustrated and we want to throw the dream out. Gently reach for more. So I would say start with what it is that you can do right now with what you have. There are lots of pieces to the dream of my own dream. I don't have the bandwidth, I don't have the resources, I don't have the capacity to do a lot of those things. So what have I done? I've decided to focus on the piece of the dream that is in my wheelhouse that I have control of now, right? That I can do, that I can produce, that I can maintain. I'll give you a case in point. Last fall, I started my podcast, right? So at the time, I was working full time. I was still, in my doctoral program, 2 kids in club sports, all of this, right? After one season, I could not maintain the time investment that it was going to take to keep the podcast going. So I said, you know what? I'm going to put the podcast on ice until I get some space freed up, some time freed up that I can invest the best version of myself in this project, right? It's not gone. That's still a vision. That's still part of the big picture and part of the big dream and part of the plan. And so now I'm in the process. Now that school is done, right? Because that was a big piece. I can now take that energy and redistribute that time and energy now. And in my podcast, I overextended myself.
Mm-hmm.
I bit off more than I could chew,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so I realized that, and I said, whoa, I'm going to have to put this on the shelf. And so that was last year. That podcast launched last November, September. I'm just now getting ready to be able to have the space to do season 2. And guess what? It's okay.
It is.
It's okay. I didn't feel the need to, I got to push it out. I got to grind, right? Guys, the hustle culture is gone. Right? I'm not making sausage. I'm not grinding nothing. Right? This idea of I say less hustle, more flow. So do what you can where you are with what you have. And build and allow from there. That's been the greatest. That has just calmed my nervous system in a way where I don't feel like I'm the octopus on roller skates when it comes to building my business and my dream. I can build one phase at a time as I see fit, and when I'm ready to expand and I've got the support and the resources and the time and energy, I can make that leap and say, hey, now introducing blah blah blah, whatever that next level of the dream is. So I
Because
would
see,
say,
what's happening is, Dr. Stephanie, is we actually jumping right on in as we close out. We've been on this octopus with skates. That's a book. We
yeah,
also are in being seen and heard because we haven't felt so much like that in many times. So we actually operate in, as you use the word wheelhouse, we don't operate in our wheelhouse. We
yeah,
operate in the will of people house.
yeah, and other people's will, and that will is going, and you're just like on a hamster wheel.
And
Oh,
that
yeah.
has been detrimental to the dream.
Yeah.
What you're hearing right here is the science of energy flow. How to
Yeah.
really, really, this concept, right? She's maintained her energy flow by understanding, deeply understanding on an authentic level that is very rarely seen, as Dr. Norma spoke about last night. If you wrap that back around with the dream, you get an exclusive answer.
Mm.
You got an exclusive. This right here could cost you tens of thousands to get in the world of transformation. I'm just being very forward because you and I have put that money in the world.
Absolutely.
I can remember when me and Dr. Stephanie met and we were on an alternative path. We were on the path to dreams, but we met some people along the way. We actually intersected in meeting those people.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
all of those people got paid incredible amounts of money working with us both.
Yeah.
But if I could do some of those experiences over again, I would just do them with a different eye. I want the code,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
Can't go back and blame. But
Yeah.
what you can do is really get taught new language. What was the language
Yeah.
means,
Yeah.
spoken? But then you
Yeah.
go back and go deeper. You go deeper and say, well, wait a minute, what version of me was showing up?
Yeah. Yeah.
So this has been an incredible transformative. I want all you to grab that. For those of you who look at this right now and you're in the replay and you're here with us.
Yeah.
Dr. Stephanie, I did not wake up like this.
Yeah. Yeah. If I could say one thing in closing, it would be this. You can only build a dream after you've committed to building yourself.
I'm going to let that be it too. We've been talking about that over and over. The mask coming down in the plane. There was a conversation about that with Dr. Norma. There was a conversation with Sharmitria Johnson. That radical self-care journey. I'm on it. Listen, Dr. Stephanie, this is so hot right here. And I don't mean to close it out like this because I got to, I have my jokes in there. This is hotter than an STD, if they still call them that. Because they might have a new name in a new earth.
Right, it might be called something else in a new earth.
Oh, yes. I got to go back and read my book, The New Earth.
Yeah.
You got me back over
here.
there.
It's here. We're living in it, right?
We are.
We're already, it's not coming, it's here.
Yeah, it's here. And actually it's been here. So everybody, when you talk political, the political environment in the US, the political environment in Africa, where the narrow is so low. Like I couldn't even get to the teller and get money. And Jessica had me all set up with one of our travel partners, Angela. And it was amazing how when I needed some money, because I ended up spending too much money when I was hanging out in Turkey. And so I'm getting to Africa and I'm over there and I need some money. And I realized at that very moment, the African continent has failed its people when it comes to the richness of this planet that they inhabit, part of the planet. And then I met the people, like I met women and I met dreams in their eyes. I could see it. Mm-hmm. And I then meet women in the US and I see dream confusion sometimes. Yeah. And I'm saying to her, do you understand where you are? What time you're in? This is a time to really refocus as to the versions of our time and ourselves. So I'll add to that. I want to thank you. I've been trying to get to Texas to spend the night at your house. Me and Melvin.
We're here. We'd love to have y'all.
I've been trying to come to the cookouts.
We'd love to have y'all.
Oh yeah, because nobody entertained like you. Absolutely. And I told Melvin I would when I told him you were coming on. Yes. And your children are growing up so beautifully, your daughter and your son. I mean, I don't know if I just love the way their eyes look or their hair, but either way, the energy is flowing through your family. Yeah. Good energy. And when things ain't right, I know mama sit it down and get everybody right. And daddy back you up.
Yeah, you already know nothing's changed in that respect.
Well, listen, keep doing the great work you're doing out there. You and I have to figure out how we're going to work together in 25.
Absolutely.
Yes, I know that I need to come out. We're going to be on tour in 25. We'll reach out to you.
Okay.
we are excited about what we're going to do. And I want everyone to go to the and beam up the app. Tell them a little bit about what they can expect, Dr. Stephanie, before we go.
Yeah. Yeah, well, like I said, we're building out the Solstice Unlimited brand. There are a couple of legs of it that are, beginning to grow. So if you'll go to the QR code, I think you'll be able to go there and just, be a part of our mailing list. With new website construction, coming along, just all of those things. Once again, um, in no rush, right? Greatness takes time.
It
And
does.
so we're building something amazing. Lots of things coming along, some type of retreat type experience, possibly next summer, and just really looking to move back into some of those spaces. School took a lot out of me, right? It took a
Mm-hmm.
lot of my time and energy. And so now that I've got that behind me, I'm really looking to, really create more experiences and learning pathways, virtual as well as in person. And so being subscribed to the mailing list there is going to be the best way to know about those things. Connecting with us on social media, we're Solstice Unlimited on Instagram. It's my name. I'm also on LinkedIn, Stephanie Morrow on LinkedIn. And I believe we're Solstice Unlimited on YouTube as well. All of our podcasts for season 1 are going to be there on
Mm-hmm.
YouTube, and season 2 is going to be coming soon. So that's about it.
Okay, that's awesome. We got a question that came in from Gloria Virtue earlier. She wanted to know, how do you deal with sadness, which occurs in some people in the winter time, especially in Canada? Do you mind? Because I didn't see that earlier. I think
Yeah,
Hajadino answered. Can you answer that for her? Let me cut this echo down. Could you maybe give her a little something about that? Help her a
yeah.
little bit in a season and time?
I sit in it. I know it's not a popular thing, but I allow myself to sit in it, right? So often when we're having different emotions, whether it's sadness or feeling let down or, deflated, maybe we had our hopes up really big for something and it didn't work out the way. We're human beings. So while we are quantum beings and we have the power to transmute energy and all of these other things, we're still human beings. There's a human element to our existence. And so for me, it's helped to allow myself to feel whatever the emotion is. We hear so much about, moving out of it, moving out of it, moving out of it. And what happens is as we have those experiences and we don't sit with them, not allow ourselves to, I'm not marinating, I'm not sitting overnight, or I don't want to ruminate in it too much.
Mm-hmm.
But when I'm feeling it, I let it in and I sit with it. And I think it's so important that we have the tools that we need, that we can move ourselves from those states, right? And if you think about, just for example, maybe a depression, right? A person sits in sadness, and momentum works both ways. Momentum can take us up, momentum can take us down and further down and further down and further down. And so, for a person that might be experiencing sadness, if you don't have the tools and those mental capabilities to be able to say, okay, that's enough of that, right? I've felt that. I've laid in bed and, had the ice cream and the buns. Tomorrow's, and I might even sleep on it. But tomorrow, guess what? You're going to get up, you're going to put yourself together, you're going to comb your hair and put your lashes on, and you're going to go out, and it's a new day and it's a new opportunity and a new experience. But that's kind of a skill set that you've got to be able, that you've got to, and it's a practice. It's like doing reps in the gym, right? The more you practice that, it becomes more of a natural thing. And as you feel that sadness, you might find that, hey, I sat in sadness, but I didn't even feel that sad that long. I can see before maybe the sadness would have lasted for days. And this time, the next day I was able to move myself back into the powerful state that I needed to be in. And
Powerful
so
state.
just a level of awareness, but I would encourage you to feel whatever it is, whatever that emotion is, to feel it. Right. We've been told by too many people to, to negate our emotions and to don't feel them and do, like, no, because if you don't, your body, your body is the ultimate scorekeeper,
Mm.
right? And that begins to manifest in all types of disease or dis-ease, right? From not feeling the different things that have come into our existence based on our experiences. So that's how I would answer that. And then arming yourself with the tools to be able to understand that and to recognize that and being able to know what to do to move yourself out of those states when you feel them.
That is some good stuff right there. That matter of fact, great. I want to thank you for joining us. Thank you for giving us such warmth and beauty, such incredible intellect. That's what you go to school to get them doctorates for, okay? You wrap the doctorate with your intellect you already had. Right.
Oh my
I'm
goodness.
sure that thesis was incredible.
It's been a journey.
I know it has. I saw you working over there. I'm always feel you somewhere in the energy of the internet sphere.
Yeah.
Sphere.
Yeah.
So
So
thank you for
thank
staying
you.
connected.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And thank you for continuing to hold space for women in this way, right? It's changed and it's evolved over time, but at the core, Lord Pelzer is always going to be holding space for women to help them do their best work, period, point blank. In any, on any continent, any day of the week, any level of consciousness, that is who you are. That is your core. So I just want to celebrate you for honoring that and remaining true to that. And just for the service that you provide. And like I said, just holding space for women in such a sacred way is so important because a lot of people are trying to do this work, but they don't. They're yeah. That's another broadcast.
Yeah,
But
another that's for the women. That's for the women community, entrepreneur trainings and so forth. And I got to come to one because I got to sit with y'all. Thank you, Dr.
yeah,
Stephanie. That was beautiful. Thank you for imparting that into me. I
absolutely.
appreciate. I receive it.
All right, love you millions, and I'll
Love
see
you
you
too.
guys next time.
Take care, girl. Go be great. So as we close out in the next 2 to 3 minutes, I want to thank each of you. The noonday session, midday session went over, right? We finished at 2. We went to 2:47. We had an incredible time here. For those of you who will grab this replay and you see me, I want you to listen to me carefully. I want you to sit inside of today. I want you to sit inside of today's message. There is at least 100 jewels in this message of both of our Dream Talk speakers today. Tomorrow is packed with incredibleness dropping everywhere. We get ready to announce one of our featured Dream Talk speakers for tomorrow. She's sold a company. It's in the world moving. It has her name on it. She helps women reach the $1 million mark. I've been one of her students. She doesn't look like us. And I say us as Black women or women of color, she is a woman. She definitely has an incredible story. She's on the bestseller list. She has done the work. She's a New Yorker. And we'll talk about some various things that you definitely don't want to miss. So we're going to be pushing out some emails. We have Allie coming from the UK. She has an incredible brand in the food world and her own store. I remember meeting her when I was in London. And I remember the woman with the hat and the boots. I remember thinking, yes, when she approached me. I know one thing for sure and 2 things for certain. That if tomorrow don't take you somewhere with the combination of these last 2 days, 3 days, then you might absolutely be more stuck than you knew. So then you're going to have to get a new sound as to what your really next big step needs to be. And it may be huge for you. That's why I said big. You may have to go into some therapeutic sessions because there may be something clogging, right? Not just the energy flow of who you are in the world. You may be dealing with something that is holding you back, that needs some type of medication to help open up the pathways. And that's okay. I've been on Prozac before in my life. I stayed on it a few years longer than my body wanted me to. So it started to tell me. And so I had to come off of Prozac after my body was healed. I kept staying with it. My daughter's like, Mom, you're itching. Jessica, who's our operations manager. So sometimes I'm Mom, sometimes I'm Lori, depending on what mode we're in, right? But when she says Mom, I was itching. So my body was saying to me, it's no longer in need of that medicine. So if you need medicine, don't just choose a coach. You may need to go, you go where what you go with what you need. Now, if you, and that maybe you're experiencing some real, real stuff, right? That can't be remedied through these particular transformative conversation. We'll have Keisha Pinto with us from Canada. She's been a part of our growth process, but she's just larger than the life that she has probably even dreamed she was going to create at first. And I don't mean no one is larger than life, but larger than the life she thought she could create. We are going to meet democracy tomorrow, political conversation. It's happening all across the globe. We're going to talk about it in a way with Dolores Gray out of Ohio here in the United States, as she vies for the office of school board. Like, that's where real work is being done in the state levels. All right. Why she chose this route when her dream was also put on pause through a tragedy, but she stayed. And democracy, that conversation we're going to get really excited about, because each of us, whether we're in Canada, Africa, UK, as Black women, women of color, we are faced in this moment. Where are we going to land? You heard Dr. Stephanie talk about the new earth. Okay. I remember when I first read the new earth and read about it and understanding it, levels of consciousness. So part of sadness, Ms. Virtue, in the winter, as Hajadina eloquently shared with us, understanding the winter, understanding when it's cold, what is that season speaking to you? It may not be speaking a lot of passion and desire and action, because it's not the fire season, right? This is manifestation. We're going to teach tonight. I'm getting ready to close out. But it may be speaking to your spirit level, which is that new earth consciousness. How do we get your consciousness to connect to what's really going on? The core value of us is spirit. We're all made of energy. We're made of water, and we're made of spirit. So we may need to work with your consciousness some more about this deep place of winter, which brings cold, physical cold, and mental cold, which is metaphysical. So you may be experiencing the two energies, metaphysical, meaning mental and physical, of what's happening in the cold time, because you're struggling to experience your dreams in a reality place. And I could break that down more for you. Okay. Listen, for those of you who want to have a growth, a peak in your growth, a rebirth, an idea of how to really get back into the world, moving around, as I see Tanya Gilly, ABC training. My training is very different now, but it's the same understanding. The Dream into Action box is going to be available for you to purchase. That's the best way for you to get connected to me right now, right? Unless you want to invest in some one-to-one, those particular type of sessions are available only if you are ready to go through a cycle of change with me, from maybe emptiness to conception of your dream, to growth, to peaking that dream, to rebirthing. That will be, a commitment on a different level. And you can talk to my operations manager about that. And I am available to you. We have to get you in the schedule and set some intentions. The investment usually starts at $3,500 minimum for this particular Dream into Action type of one-to-one. And you can do it. If that's what you want to do, that's what you feel is going to work for you, I'm ready to bring you through the cycles. I want you to take a look at all of our speakers, what they've offered. We're going to put together something for everyone to be able to click links. We're going to send that out after we finish up on tomorrow. We'll send that out Friday. That will be going out by email. You'll have links to get assessments. You have links to set appointments with some of the Dream Talk speakers. There is no other place to go but up, no matter how far down you believe you may be in this moment. Your hands and your feet, they're ready to do something. Let's do something. Even if it's just one step in front of the other, setting that intention, like Natasha Clark said, you may have it harder to put that one step in front of the other because trauma sits in because of the experiences. But I want you to leave with this. The next step of your dream life is available to you if you say yes. All you got to do is say yes. Girl Greatness, has been my pleasure serving you today. We allowed what we call not the wind to move us. We allowed the experience, the vibration, the energy to keep this conversation going a little longer than it was planned because it was necessary. I'll see you back tonight at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I'll be kicking off, and that's a promise, with manifestation. And I'll see you on the other side. Girl Greatness, share with us how you're feeling. Leave your comments on the YouTube page. Share with some other women that come in with us tonight. We're going to have a powerful night. And tonight's guest, I believe we have Tanisha from Canada. Y'all going to want to have that conversation if you really feel like your dream is to feel and look better, right? In your beauty, hearing her story of tragedy turned into purpose and dreams. And I look forward to having her as a guest. I think she's tonight, Jessica, or is she tomorrow? I'll look at the schedule. But nonetheless, have a great rest of your day. See you back tonight. Take care. Share it with some other women that will be here at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Girl, you go be great.